Hey everyone, welcome back to StoryVoyage. Today we have an intense and emotional episode lined up for you. We're diving into some shocking and heartbreaking stories about people who discovered their spouses were cheating. The way they responded will leave you speechless. Make sure to stick around until the end, because these stories are truly eye-opening. I caught my wife cheating. What I did next will shock you. Hey everyone. This is a tough one to write. I'm using a throwaway account because I don't want this traced back to my main. So here's what happened. My wife and I have been together for 8 years, married for 5. We have a 4-year-old daughter who is the light of my life. I never imagined I'd find myself in this situation, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. A few weeks ago, I started noticing she was more attached to her phone. She would take it everywhere, even to the bathroom. Her social media habits changed too. Suddenly she had new friends I didn't know, and she was more active at odd hours. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. One night, she said she was going out for a girls' night. After she left, I decided to check our shared computer. Call it an invasion of privacy if you want, but I had a gut feeling I couldn't ignore. I logged into her email and found messages from a guy I didn't recognize. They were explicit and left no doubt about what was going on. I was devastated, but I didn't want to act impulsively. I took screenshots of everything, saved them to a flash drive, and waited for her to come home. When she did, I could barely look at her. The next day, I called a locksmith and had the locks changed while she was at work. I packed her things and left them outside. When she came home, she was furious and demanded to know why she was locked out. I calmly handed her the flash drive and told her she could explain herself to our daughter when she was older. I filed for divorce the following week and requested full custody. It's been a rough few weeks, but I have a strong support system. My priority is our daughter, and I'm determined to give her the best life possible. Hi Reddit. I'm posting here because I need some advice and support. Here's my story. My wife and I have been married for 10 years. We've had our ups and downs, but I thought we were solid. Recently, she started working late more often, going out with friends I'd never met, and being generally distant. I tried talking to her about it, but she always brushed it off. One night, I was at home with our 2 kids when I got a text from a friend. He sent me a photo of my wife at a restaurant with another man. They were holding hands and looked very cozy. My heart sank, but I knew I needed to see for myself. I called a babysitter and drove to the restaurant. Sure enough, there they were, laughing and flirting like teenagers. I was furious, but didn't want to cause a scene in public. I waited outside and followed them to a hotel. That was the confirmation I needed. The next morning, I confronted her. She denied everything until I showed her the photo. She broke down and admitted it, saying it was a mistake and that it meant nothing. But it meant everything to me. I kicked her out of the house and filed for divorce. I also hired a private investigator to gather more evidence, which I plan to use to get full custody of our kids. I'm heartbroken and angry, but I know this is the right thing to do for my children and me. Hello, Reddit. This is my first post here, and I wish it were under better circumstances. I need some advice and maybe just a place to vent. My wife and I have been married for 7 years, and we have a 5-year-old son. Recently, she started acting differently, always on her phone, going out more, and being unusually secretive. I confronted her a few times, but she always had excuses. Last weekend, she said she was going to visit her sister. I was suspicious, so I decided to follow her. She drove to a park and met up with a guy. They were all over each other. I couldn't believe my eyes. I took photos and videos as evidence, then drove home in a daze. I spent the night thinking about what to do next. The following day, I took our son to my parents' house and explained the situation. They were shocked but supportive. When my wife came home, I showed her the evidence. She didn't deny it. She said she wasn't happy and that the affair had been going on for months. I felt like my world was collapsing, but I knew I had to stay strong for our son. I filed for divorce and requested sole custody. I'm focusing on rebuilding my life and being the best father I can be. It's going to be a long road, but I'm determined to get through this. Hey Reddit. This is a throwaway account for obvious reasons. I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some advice on what to do next. So here it goes. My wife and I have been married for 6 years. We have 2 beautiful kids and a pretty decent life. Also, I thought, About a month ago, I started noticing some changes in her behavior. She was more secretive with her phone, going out more often with friends, and just acting distant overall. I tried to ignore it at first, thinking maybe she was just stressed or going through something she didn't want to talk about. But the nagging feeling that something was wrong kept growing. Last week, I decided to follow her. It felt wrong and invasive, but I had to know the truth. She said she was meeting a friend for dinner, so I waited outside the restaurant. After about an hour, I saw her leaving with a guy I didn't recognize. They were laughing, holding hands, and eventually got into his car. I felt my heart sink, but I kept following them. They drove to a nearby hotel, and that's when it hit me. She was cheating on me. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, just staring at the hotel entrance, trying to process everything. Then, an idea hit me. It was crazy, but I needed to do something to regain control of the situation. I went home, packed a bag for myself, and left a note on the kitchen table. It simply read, "I know. I hope it was worth it." Then I drove to my best friend's house. He knew something was wrong the moment he saw me. I explained everything, and he offered me a place to stay while I figured things out. I spent the night planning my next move. The following morning, I called a lawyer and started the process of filing for divorce. I also made an appointment with a therapist, knowing I needed help dealing with the emotional fallout. But here's the part that might shock you. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I decided to gather as much evidence as possible to protect myself and our kids. Over the next few days, I collected phone records, took photos, and documented everything. I wanted to make sure there was no way she could twist the situation in her favor. Once I had everything I needed, I sat her down and calmly told her I knew about the affair. She tried to deny it at first, but when I showed her the evidence, she broke down. She begged for forgiveness, but I told her it was too late. Trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to rebuild. I moved out officially last week. I'm still reeling from everything, but I know I made the right choice. My kids are my top priority, and I refuse to let them grow up in a household filled with lies and betrayal. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I deserve better. If anyone here has gone through something similar, I'd appreciate any advice on how to navigate this new chapter in my life. Thanks for reading Reddit. TL doctor caught my wife cheating, gathered evidence, filed for divorce, and moved out. Looking for advice on how to move forward. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. Thank you all for the support, advice, and personal stories. It's comforting to know I'm not alone in this. I'm taking it one day at a time and focusing on my kids. And they deserve the best version of me, and that's what I'm striving to become. For those asking about custody, my lawyer is confident that with the evidence I've gathered, I'll have a strong case. My wife has expressed guilt and remorse, but I'm not sure it's enough to salvage anything at this point. Trust is gone. Again, thank you, everyone. This community has been a lifeline. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey today. If you found these stories as gripping and heartfelt as we did, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to StoryVoyage for more incredible content. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay strong and take care.